Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to 168 Hours, your weekly roundup of the top local stories. I'm Ahmad Imad, your host for the evening. Stay tuned. Maldives government rejects all policies and actions to move Palestinians out of the Gaza Strip, which the island nation insisted would undermine the prospects for achieving peace in the region.
United States President Donald Trump proposed last week for the U.S. to take over Gaza and move Palestinians out of the territory. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a statement officially rejecting the plan without naming the U.S. The statement said that the Maldives rejects all policies and actions that undermine the prospects of achieving peace in the region, including the continued expansion of illegal settlements, land annexation, and any attempts to displace the population of the Gaza Strip. Maldives had also reiterated its support for the full membership of Palestine in the United Nations. In the statement, Maldives reiterated its firm and unwavering support for the establishment of an independent and sovereign state of Palestine based on the pre-1967 borders with East Jerusalem as its capital. The statement said that the Maldives calls on the international community to take all necessary measures to uphold the international law and to protect the rights of the Palestinian people. The statement also said that a political solution remains the only viable path to achieving lasting peace, where two independent states can coexist in security, dignity, and mutual recognition. The ministry's statement came hours after President Dr. Mohamed Moise insisted that the Maldives would never support any plan or policy to displace the Palestinian people. In his presidential address to inaugurate the parliament for the year, President Dr. Moise on Thursday said the Maldives will not support any actions against the Palestinian statehood. He also emphasized that the government would continue to provide full support to the Palestinian people in their efforts to realize their dream of establishing an independent state.
First Lady Madam Sajda Mohammed emphasizes the importance of developing the skills of individuals with autism and creating as many opportunities as possible to support their growth. She made the remarks while speaking at a ceremony held to mark the 15th anniversary of the Maldives Autism Association.
The First Lady highlighted widespread misconceptions within the community regarding autism during her speech. She noted that many individuals mistakenly believe that autism needs to be cured with special treatment, or that the attitudes and behaviors of individuals with autism, which arise from differences in brain function, need to be changed. Hence, she conveyed the need for additional efforts to clarify these misconceptions, emphasizing that children must be fully accepted with their individual personality differences. The First Lady commended the Maldives Autism Association for its ongoing efforts to transform the community into a more inclusive society. She praised their work in providing necessary support mechanisms for all sections of society and in creating an environment where individuals with autism can advocate for their own rights. The First Lady also highlighted the global perspective on autism, emphasizing that despite the varying degrees of autistic challenges, several notable individuals have perceived and are living successful lives. She encouraged not to be disheartened by the symptoms of autism, but to recognize the child's potential and continuously offer as many opportunities as possible. She further emphasized the precedence attached by the administration to autism under its social justice policy. She also highlighted the government's decision to provide employment opportunities for such individuals. At the ceremony, the First Lady presented commemorative plaques to long-serving employees of the Maldives Autism Association. The Maldives Autism Association, which was founded in 2010, aims to provide various treatments to children with autism in the Maldives and equip them with life skills and prepare them for the school environment. The association also runs teacher training programs for educators that work with children with autism. Over the past 15 years, the association has served about 1,800 children, with 168 children currently receiving services from the center.
Minister of Homeland Security and Technology Ali Hussain says that the administration has successfully recovered approximately $71.34 million in fees associated with migrant workers that were owed to the state by employers. He made this statement during the Riyasi Bayan 2025 forum, an event centered on the presidential address delivered by President Dr. Mohammad Muiz at the inaugural session for Parliament for 2025.
Minister Hussain disclosed that employers collectively owe the state an estimated $116.72 million in migrant workers related fees. He revealed that the administration has successfully reclaimed approximately $71.34 million, thereby reducing the outstanding balance to around $38.77 million. In his address at the forum, the minister underscored the administration's initiative to tackle the issue of undocumented migrant workers in the country. He highlighted Operation Kurangi, a specialized campaign designed to collect biometric data from all migrant workers, identifying undocumented individuals and expose unregistered illegal business operations. He stated that since the campaign's inception, the administration has collected biometric data from over 44,000 migrant workers. The minister also elaborated on the achievements of the Homeland Security Ministry in other areas, notably in combating drug trafficking and substance abuse. He announced that the administration has decided to establish drug offenders remand centers in 3 regions of the country, which will provide community rehabilitation services. Additionally, Minister Hussain discussed the administration's legislative amendments aimed at addressing drug and gang-related crimes. He acknowledged that despite the presence of existing legislation, enforcement has proved challenging. He said the proposed amendments are intended to bolster the authorities' capacity to effectively combat these crimes.
Minister of Tourism and Environment Tariq Ibrahim insists that employees must be afforded the opportunity to showcase their abilities and skills in the workplace. The minister made these remarks at the opening of the 5th National HR Convention organized by the Maldives Association of HR Professionals, MAHRP.
The National HR Convention and Expo is the largest gathering of HR professionals, businesses leaders and people's leaders across all disciplines. At the event, professionals come together to learn, unlearn and relearn about the latest HR and people development trends. According to MAHRP, the 5th National HR Convention will be focused on the latest trends in global and local context of HR challenges and opportunities. Speaking at the opening ceremony of the convention, Minister Tariq said the government will give special priority to human resource capacity building in the tourism sector. Noting that the tourism sector remains the economic lifeline of the country, the minister urged people to take advantage of the many employment opportunities available in the sector, adding that all locals must be given a fair chance to take these opportunities without discrimination or bias. He said that the employers need to think about making the workplace more inclusive with youth, women and persons with disabilities. Minister said in a post on his social media handles shortly after inaugurating the convention that the workplace is changing at a rapid pace. According to the minister, the administration of President Dr. Mohammad Muiz remains committed to these challenges and is prioritizing the development and nurturing of local talent. The convention will host interactive sessions on the role of HR leaders in transforming the workplace, how to make the workplace the best fit for employees, data analytics and recent HR trends. MAHRP started the HR Convention series in 2019 and this year the 5th National HR Convention and Expo will be held from 8 to 9 February. MHRP is Maldives' first professionals and registered association devoted to human resources and people's development. Its primary aim is to serve the need of HR professionals by providing the most current and comprehensive resources and to advance the professions by promoting HR's essential, setting professional standards and providing the know-how.
President Dr. Mohammad Muiz calls upon pertinent agencies to elevate the foreign transaction limit on debit cards issued by the Bank of Maldives BML to $1,500 for Umrah pilgrims traveling to Makkah, Saudi Arabia during the holy month of Ramadan this year. The foreign transaction limit stipulates the maximum amount of US dollars that can be utilized for international transactions via credit and debit cards.
President Dr. Moise announced this initiative through a social media post, highlighting that the enhanced transaction limit will significantly benefit Umrah pilgrims undertaking their pilgrimage during Ramadan 1446. President Dr. Moise revealed that he had petitioned the PML and the Maldives Monetary Authority MMA to raise the foreign transaction limit on debit cards for Umrah pilgrims to $1,500. According to the President, this increase is in addition to the existing limit available to BML customers. At present, BML provides a foreign transaction limit of $250 on debit cards. Under Dr. Moise's directive, the limit for Umrah pilgrims performing their pilgrimage this Ramadan will rise to $1,750. The increased transaction limit will be available at the official exchange rate of 15.42 Maldivian rupiah. A substantial number of Maldivians travel to Makkah during Ramadan to perform the Umrah pilgrimage. According to the Ministry of Islamic Affairs, the number of Maldivian pilgrims has been steadily increasing in recent years. This decision follows the enactment of the Foreign Currency Act (Forex Act) earlier this year. The newly implemented legislation mandates that companies generating foreign revenue, including those in the tourism sector, exchange a portion of their earnings through local banks, ensuring improved regulation and control. Government statistics indicate that since the enactment of this law, companies generating foreign revenue have exchanged over $25 million through local banks within the past month. President stated that the legislation is anticipated to benefit the public through enhanced availability of foreign currency. The initiative to increase the foreign transaction limit to Umrah pilgrims aligned with President's announcement of plans to double the amount of US dollars available to Maldivians traveling abroad from Malana International Airport (BIA) during the first quarter of 2026. Currently, BML provides $500 per local passenger departing from BIA. The administration aims to increase this amount to $1,000 by early 2026 and subsequently raise credit card limits to $1,400 by the second quarter of the same year.
President Dr. Mohamed Moise submits a letter to Parliament seeking their consultation on a proposal to reduce the salaries of officials within independent institutions, the judiciary and Parliament members. The proposal is part of the administration's economic reform and austerity measures aimed at reducing public expenditure, budget deficits and national debt.
The proposal specifies that the salary reductions for officials within independent institutions, the judiciary and Parliament members will be implemented for a period of 2 years. This measure is intended to curb public spending and support the administration's broader economic reform agenda. In his letter, President Dr. Moise outlined that the 2-year austerity plan includes a 10% reduction in the basic salaries of senior officials within independent institutions who currently earn over $778.34 per month. He has requested Parliament's constitution on his proposal as well as on the implementation of similar salary reduction measures for staff within the judicial sector and Parliament members. Upon receipt of President's letter, Parliament forwarded it to the Public Accounts Committee for review. Prior to submitting the national budget for 2025 to Parliament, President announced his decision to implement stringent austerity measures as part of his economic reform agenda. These measures include a 10% reduction in the basic salaries of all political appointees and employees of state-owned companies, excluding banks. The President also decided to cap the maximum salary for heads of state-owned companies at $5,837.95, assuring that this decision will not affect employees who earn a monthly salary of $778.34 or less.
Chief Justice Ahmad Motasim Adnan states that a state can only be governed effectively and the rights of its people assured if all branches of the state upholds the law with sincerity. He made the statement while addressing at the Judicial Year 2025 inauguration ceremony held at the Islamic Center.
Delivering the judicial statement at the event, which was inaugurated by President Dr. Mohammad Moise, the Chief Justice emphasized that the judiciary is implementing key measures to address various issues within the courts while also upholding the law. He acknowledged the assistance provided by various institutions in these efforts and expressed confidence that judges would continue to work with wisdom and integrity to uphold the rule of law in the Maldives. The Chief Justice further acknowledged the role played by technology in expediting trials last year and expressed hope that the use of technology will be adopted similarly this year. He further stated that the judicial sector saw significant technological advancements over the last year, including conducting trials online, which have accelerated the pace of judicial process. He reiterated that the adoption of artificial intelligence, technology and modern resources will further advance the judicial sector this year. At the event, the Chief Justice also acknowledged the efforts undertaken by all judges within the system. Speaking at the event, President of the Judicial Service Commission JSC, Hussain Riza Adam, also acknowledged that concerns regarding the delays in conducting trials is the most pressing concern regarding the judiciary. He announced that this year, relevant authorities would work to identify the reason for the delays and implement measures to expedite the process. Riza said one of the reasons for delays include cancellations after a hearing has already been scheduled. To address this, added efforts will be undertaken to identify the reason for cancellations and reduce cancellations. The ceremony included the official recognition of a long-serving judge for the honorable retirement from service. The annual ceremony to inaugurate the judicial year reflects on the achievements of the judiciary over the past year and sets goals for the upcoming year. For the past 8 years, special events have been organized to mark the inauguration of the judicial year, with the exception of 2021.
The International Monetary Fund IMF welcomes the Maldives' economic reform agenda, but urges the island nation to swiftly implement the austerity measures to improve its current fiscal and debt distress. The IMF team currently visiting the Maldives had briefed the Parliamentary Finance and Economic Affairs Joint Committee on its findings and observations on the Maldives' key economic developments.
The IMF team currently visiting the Maldives had briefed the Parliamentary Finance and Economic Affairs Joint Committee on its findings and observations on Maldives' key economic developments. IMF Mission Chief Phayphon Nikhilsodriwibun said Maldives' economy is expected to grow by 5% this year, primarily fueled by tourism growth, further boosted by the imminent opening of the new passenger terminal of the Vilalana International Airport VIA. However, she warned that the delay in implementation of the economic reforms would cause both external and internal pressures and risks on the country's fiscal and debt sustainability. So she repeatedly urged the government to accelerate the implementation of the measure outlined in the economic reform agenda. Phayphon particularly highlighted reform subsidies, state-owned enterprises, the public health insurance scheme Asanda, and reprioritizing capital spending as significant steps towards a more resilient economy. During the sit-down, most committee members urged the IMF to provide the necessary expertise and assistance to assist the government in navigating out of the present economic difficulties. Some opposition lawmakers accused this administration of dragging out the implementation of the measures. Phayphon said the IMF believes that the incumbent government is committed to the fiscal reform agenda, but insisted that the implementation must be accelerated. The Ministry of Finance and Planning meanwhile reforms.
The Maldives issues an urgent call for the restoration of essential health services and the operationalization of health facilities in Palestine. The call was made during the 156th session of the World Health Organization WHO Executive Board. The meeting, convened at WHO headquarters in Geneva, Switzerland from February 3rd to 11th, was attended by a Maldivian delegation led by Minister of Health Abdullah Nazim Ibrahim.
The delegation understands in the occupied Palestinian territories, casting a spotlight on the critical word by Israel, highlighting the urgency of the situation. Comprising 34 technically qualified members elected for 3-year terms, the WHO Executive Board is tasked with implementing the decisions and policies of the World Health Embassy and advising on its operations. The meeting featured extensive deliberations on the restoration of essential health services and the operationalization of health facilities in Gaza. The discussions also included the delivery of medical supplies and the provision of fuel to hospitals, amidst severe constraints on access. The urgency of establishing systematic and sustained access to the population across Gaza was another key focus. These discussions underscored the critical need for comprehensive efforts to enhance healthcare infrastructure and services in Gaza. At the meeting, the Maldives also advocated for enhancing response mechanisms and improving the ability of all states to manage global health emergencies, in addition to increasing universal health coverage to aid states in attaining sustainable development goals. The Maldives also stressed the importance of mitigating health concerns induced by climate change and protecting the health of children and women. During their visit to Geneva, the Maldives delegation also met with the WHO Director General Dr. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus. According to Health Ministry sources, the discussion centered on seeking additional support and assistance from the WHO for the Maldives.
And that wraps up the stories for this week's 168 Hours. We'll see you again next week.
एकटुकुरा हिव्वेत एकटुकुरमु गेम कुळे हिव्वेत